And the next thing I know, my chance with her is blown, cause my mouth gets carried away. I'm tongue-tied, 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 tongue-tied.
This question comes from a guy who met a woman at a wedding, and he's also wheelchair bound. So there's some issues that have come up as it pertains to him trying to connect with this woman and talking to her other relatives that is now causing some turmoil. So his question goes like this. He says, "Hi, coach. In June of 2022, I met a girl at a friend's wedding. We talked off and on, and at the end, she asked me for my social media, so we exchanged Instagram. Well, I'm glad that you were able to connect. I typically err on the side of phone numbers, but the fact that you got some way to connect with her is a bold step, because a lot of guys wouldn't even try to go to a woman and actually ask for the information because they'd be all shy and nervous about it." He says, "A few days later, I asked her out, and she said yes. Me being an overthinker and also wheelchair bound said, there is no way this girl said yes without hardly knowing me." Oh boy, here we go. So we're now running into the limited mindset and projection. So to stress, if you're a guy that hasn't had a lot of women that have said yes to him dating, or in this case, this guy's in a wheelchair, so you've had obstacles in your way that you feel have potentially blocked you from dating women, what can often happen is when you first start getting yeses, you would think when you first start getting yeses, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so great, a woman saying yes to me. But here's what happens. This is how our mind tricks us, guys. Okay, check this out. If you've been hearing no, 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 nonstop from women, and then a woman comes along and says yes, you're now in the habit and pattern of hearing no. Your reality is that women are going to say no to you, because why wouldn't that be your reality? Other women have said no. So when a woman comes along and says yes, your brain's going to be on autopilot and think, wait, did I hear her say yes? That can't be true. That's not a thing. Like consciously you won't think that, but subconsciously your brain is used to hearing no and getting rejection. So this is something that you guys got to look out for, because let's say you watch a lot of my videos, you get my content, and you start reading up on how to attract women. You're going to go out there, do some of these things. You're going to attract a woman that says yes to you, and you're going to think it's a fluke. That didn't happen. You're going to project and think she didn't really mean what she actually said. Like she was saying yes to me, but that couldn't have possibly been what she meant. She must have actually meant to say no, and she's doing this to appease me, or she said yes in the moment, but she's going to reject me, because all you've heard to this point is rejection, okay? So recognize most women are when they say a thing to you like, yes, I'll go on a date with you, let a flake happen before you start thinking, this isn't what she actually meant, okay? Have enough faith in yourself to believe that when you're asking a woman out and you've had some rapport with her and she's giving you the information to contact her, that she legitimately enjoyed the rapport, that she legitimately wants you to contact her, and that when she says yes for a date, she legitimately means yes to the date, all right? Anyway, continuing on, he says, so he said there's no way that she said yes without hardly knowing me, which is a falsitude, because it's actually easier to get a yes answer for a date from a woman that hardly knows you versus one that has known you for quite some time. Because at that point, she's put you into the friendship category, and now you're out. So when you start in the beginning asking women out, what's going to happen is she hasn't put you in a category yet. So if you say, let's go on a date, she's thinking in the moment, okay, I don't know if this is going towards friendship or relationship. He's asking for a date, so he wants it to lead towards a relationship possibly. Let's check out that avenue first, all right? But when you do what he's doing, where it's like, well, I don't know if she meant it or whatever, then what happens is it starts gearing more towards friendship, and then you lose out, all right? So again, this is why you got to assume when she says yes to a date that that's an inquiry. That's her saying, I am willing to invest to see where this could potentially be. Now, this guy says, she said, there's no way this girl said yes without hardly knowing me. So I asked her sister, who went to the wedding too. I said, your sister wouldn't be the kind to say yes just to be nice, would she? She said, no. This is where the problems begin. You do not want to be bringing in family members or other people that could potentially ruin this thing, because what do you think possibly happened? Here's what my scenario, right? He goes to the sister and says, hey, so I'm curious. I asked your sister out on a date, but she said yes, but would she actually mean that? Yada, yada, yada. So she's going to talk to you about it. You're going to think, okay, good, what a relief. She's then going to go to her sister that you tried to ask out and say, hey, did so-and-so ask you out on a date? That's so funny because he just asked me if when he's asked you out, if you actually meant the thing, and blah, 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 blah. And now she's going to be able to read that you don't actually think you are worthy of getting her to say yes to a date, which is going to make her think, but why does he not think I'm worthy? Like, does this mean he's been rejected by girls in the past? Does he not know how to handle women? Should I have said yes to this date? Should I be having buyer's remorse now? And that's all because you got somebody else involved, and the person that you got involved, you showed doubt to about this being a thing, which then she then transferred over to the person you asked out. So this is why when you ask women out, guys, I understand. I know the fear of like, you ask her out and you're thinking, what if she flakes? What if she rejects me? You need to go through the entire process of you ask her out and then you leave her the heck alone until you show up for the date to pick her up or until you show up for the date where you guys agree to meet. You need to go through the practice of that because you need to build up the habit and become comfortable with the idea that when you ask women out, they legit will actually show up and that they legit want to see you. If you don't allow yourself to practice this, there's always going to be this doubt. You're going to always try to ask 5 or 6 other people, what does so-and-so really think of me? Or is she really excited for this date or not? And all that does when it gets back to her is make her doubt that she should have gone out with you. All right. Continuing on. So then he says, so she said, the sister said, no, she wouldn't say it, just be nice. The next day I talked to her sister and that's when she threw the whole, I'm too busy for a relationship, so as long as it's just friends, I'll go out. Now, why did she do that? The reason that she did that is because, again, the sister went back to her and told her what you told her, which is like, oh, would she be the kind of just flakeness is that, which made the sister now realize that he must be putting a lot of importance on this date, and it must be because he has a high interest and he really, really likes me, and he's already nervous about trying to get with me. And that's not what women want to feel when they get asked out by a guy. They want to be asked out by guys that are confident, that know that they deserve the date, and that he has worth. When you ask things like this, or when you start showing self-doubt, it puts her on the pedestal. Women don't want to be on the pedestal because they don't like being the leaders in their relationship. So thus, because the way he was acting put so much focus and force onto this date being an end-all be-all of a relationship, when it's really just an inquiry. Guys, a date is just an inquiry into a person. It is not anything solidifying any kind of relationship. But when you act this nervous and start asking these kind of questions, then it makes the woman feel like you're already in relationship mode on what should just be a simple date. Thus, her saying, well, we can go out, but as long as we're just friends, because she's feeling, though, as though you're going to make this date as if you're already boyfriend and girlfriend, all right? So again, when you ask women on dates, just ask for the freaking date, and that's it. Don't try to ask extra questions. Does this mean that, would you say yes and really mean no, blah, 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 blah? Because that shows self-doubt. It shows that you have a lack of abundance mindset, and it's going to ultimately make her feel like you're not the fun, jovial, confident guy that she met at the wedding. Anyway, he says, we've hung out 3 times in the last 8 months. That's not good. That's only 3 times in 8 months. Like, even if you guys are just friends, you should be seeing her more than 3 times. Anyway, he says, she seems to be getting more comfortable, but unfortunately between hangouts, dates, or whatever, there is hardly any communication. She has recently started reacting to my stories on Instagram, but that's just social media. Any thanks for your advice in advance? He worded that weird. But anyway, so look, guy, realistically, you've known this woman for 8 months now. You're effectively in the friend zone. If you don't want to be in the friend zone, then you need to stop hanging out with her so much. Or you could do the tried and true tested method of lessening the time that you're spending with her. And when she asks you to hang out, just say, hey, you know what? I'm actually busy. Or, hey, you know what? I got a date scheduled, but let's hang out another time. If you do that a couple of times where she really wants to hang out with you and you just say, I got other plans, this girl wants to take me out, then what will start to happen to her, she'll start to recognize ideally that she's not getting as much of your attention as she once did, and it may frustrate her. And you actually want her to be frustrated. You want her to be frustrated enough to where she starts questioning, why is it that every time you reject her for a hangout, she gets frustrated? And if she's able to feel that enough time, she might start to recognize, maybe the reason I feel frustrated is because I actually enjoy his company and I'm actually starting to like him in a capacity that's more than a friendship. And he's been telling me that he's been going on these dates. So does that, if he actually makes one of these dates work out, could I potentially lose him and not get as much time with him anymore? And so that could make her start to question where she wants to be with you or not in a relationship capacity, at which point she can come to you and say, hey, so I've been thinking about it. I want to go on a date too, or hey, I think we should really talk about what we're actually going to be or whatever. Okay. But that said, it can be really, really hard to get out of the friendship zone. And most guys aren't willing to do the Hail Mary of just lessening their time with her. So I'm going to say this effectively. If you want to have a shot at potentially dating this woman, you got to lessen your time with her. Like if you're hanging out with her, for example, 3 times a week, lessen it down to like 1 time every 2 weeks. All right. Really push to her that if you're not going to date, that's cool, but you have other things going on. And you don't have to say that directly to her. Like you don't have to go to her and say, hey, so because we're not dating, I'm going to spend less time with you. Just start doing it. She'll hit you up. Hey, I want to go see this movie with you. Are you available? And you can say, oh, you know what? I can't make it. Actually, this girl wanted to take me out somewhere, so I can't make it. But hey, let's hang out in like next week. Again, do that just a couple of times and then start to see if she turns. Now, she might just think, well, if you guys are just friends, she's actually happy for you dating other people, in which point then you got to, I still say be talking to other women, because realistically, if you're in the friend zone, like I said, it's hard to get out. So don't rely on this particular person to be the one that's going to want to date you. But with that said, if you do that enough times, ideally it could work out. But lastly, I'll say this too, is that you may have a lack of abundance mindset because you're in a wheelchair, and you may feel as though that is, no pun intended, handicapping you from the kind of dating that you want to do. Okay. But understand this, you have a physical handicap. Plenty of guys out there have other handicaps, whether it's, their mindset, or they're autistic, or they just have other things going on that are causing them to not be as potentially not be as great with women, and yet they're still great with women. Like there are plenty of guys out there that don't have money and are broke, and you would think that's a handicap for a guy, but I have dated as a broke guy. I've dated some hot women when I was a broke guy, all right? So it really goes back to your mindset. If you are not looking at who you are as a guy that other women are going to want, then no girl's going to believe it either. All right. It starts with changing what's up here and believing that you, regardless of your situation, will have women out there that are attracted. This woman at the wedding, it should be proof that women will find you attractive. It's your own self-doubt that caused her to then have self-doubt. So you don't want to project onto a woman things that you don't want her to feel about you. Now, if you need help with that, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can sign up for one-on-one coaching, and you can also go there to sign up for the Introvert Dating Success Academy, where we will help you learn these kind of things, get your mindset situated, and then learn the ins and outs of how to date authentically while still getting your alone time if you're an introvert. All right. So hopefully, Guy, this helps you out.
Tonight's your night to shine.